we have spacecraft from another species?
We do, yeah.
How many?
Quite a number.
That was UFO whistleblower David Grush being interviewed by investigative journalist Ross Coulthart. The full interview will be out this Sunday by News Nation. David Grush has made many claims that are beyond this world. Whether they are correct or not, I don't know. But what I do know is that he is objectively one of the most trusted former intelligence officials in the U.S. defense and intelligence establishment, and was trusted with the most intimate secrets of the United States government. I'm not going to go into that now, however, because I want to keep this video as tight as possible. Yesterday it broke that David Grush was interviewed by Le Parisien, which is a French daily newspaper covering both international and national news and local news of Paris. I'm just going to go ahead and give you the bombshell that he shared. Since the article was written in French, I will provide an English translation by Black Dark Storm of Reddit. Hopefully, this translation is accurate. Interviewer: did you hesitate to speak out, and why, David Grush? Of course I hesitated, because I spent 14 years in the American intelligence community. I've always worked in the shadows, sometimes even undercover. It's a nightmare to be a public figure and have my name out there. But I thought the public deserved to know certain facts. There are questions that humans have been asking themselves for generations. If the U.S. and its allies have part of the answers, it seems ethically wrong to keep it a secret. Interviewer: can you tell us more about these programs which you claim have remained secret for decades? David Grush: for almost 90 years, the United States and its allies have been recovering fragments of objects and exotic objects, damaged or intact vehicles. The analysis carried out have provided proof that these were non-human objects, particularly those discovered 90 years ago. The programs I'm talking about were dedicated to reverse engineering, studying the properties of an object to determine its inner workings for military purposes. And that is unfortunately the main purpose. Interviewer: non-human objects? David Grush: I wasn't certain of their non-human origin until I was briefed on the analysis carried out by members of these programs on these recovered vehicles. Interviewer: what could be the origin of these objects if they weren't human? David Grush: my degree is in physics. The mechanical and experimental data shows that it's not human. It could be extraterrestrial, or it could be something else, coming from other dimensions, as described by quantum physics. I haven't seen enough data to say it's one thing instead of another. The U.S. government must have more information. Interviewer: can we know more about where these quote-unquote ships were recovered? David Grush: one was recovered in Italy in 1933, which is the earliest case I've been briefed on. I can't talk about the others. Interviewer: what allegedly happened there? David Grush: in 1933, a bell-like craft around 10 meters in size was recovered in Magenta, northern Italy. It was kept by Mussolini's government until 1944, when it was recovered by agents of the Office of Strategic Services, OSS, a former U.S. intelligence agency. Ironically, it predates anything the public has heard about for decades, such as Roswell, etc. I was authorized to talk about it by the Department of Defense's Office of Pre-Publication and Security Review. So just to clarify, when David Grush says that the DOPSR, that's Defense Office of Pre-Publication and Security Review, allowed him to talk about the alleged Northern Italy UFO crash, that doesn't mean that DOPSR is saying that this crash is real or happened. What it means is that DOPSR, through their review, has ascertained that there's nothing he's saying that violates any non-disclosure agreements. And that has been a topic of contention, because people rightfully are saying, how could that not be classified? How could DOPSR not say to David Grush, you cannot talk about that UFO crash because it's classified? Well, I don't know. I don't know why it's not classified, or if it is classified in a sense, but Dopser is not read in to it, so they can't even prosecute or what have you. But let's go right to an exchange that might give us some insight. Mick West writes, David Grush's statement to the media have been cleared by Dopser, which means they contain no classified information. How would the existence of a secret programming, reverse engineering alien technology not be classified? To which Merrick responds, a particularly disingenuous take. If a UAP crash retrieval program operated illegally, as is alleged, Dopser would not have been read in. If it had, someone at Dopser would have blown the whistle long ago. I am not opining on the veracity of the claims, just cutting the noise. Now, interestingly, David Grush is not the first former intelligence official to broach the alleged UFO crash in northern Italy, 1933. On May 23rd, 2021, Luis Elizondo was interviewed by Max Motzkowitz, and Max asked some questions that elicited this answer broaching this alleged crash by Luis Elizondo.
Roswell may not have been the first event, and well known. I mean, there's been some reporting internationally as well that there have been some crashed vehicles, and they were obtained by local authorities, and there was some scientific study done on them. I want to be very careful not to go too far down the rabbit hole, but I've seen personally some documentation that's very compelling from a particular foreign country where they had a recovery of a vehicle, and they had some countries conducting scientific analysis on it, and after World War II, allegedly, parts of that vehicle were brought to the United States.
Yeah. I think I know what country that was. It was a South American country, I think. Maybe Brazil. Damn it! Argentina. I'm not sure. I think it's
Italy. Italy.
Yeah, it was Italy.
Yeah, that's as it was explained to me. I saw some documentation. Look, I don't want to get too much into the, conspiracy side of the house. There is some documentation that has been validated that was from Mussolini himself, and it's authentic. It's been proven to be authentic. The documentation, so certainly interesting.
On December 14th, 2021, Christopher Sharp of Liberation Times wrote an article titled All UFO Disclosure Roads Lead to Rome, where he discusses the northern Italy UFO crash alleged 1933. In the article, he shares some alleged testimony from it, which I will share with you now. 2 bodies allegedly lay on table. They look like twins. They're dead and preserved with formaldehyde. The bodies are in bad shape. They look like victims of a bad car accident, but the heads remain intact. But their features trouble a French biologist invited to study the bodies. 2 males, very tall, around 7 feet. Long blonde hair, very high, and spacious foreheads, clear blue eyes that look somewhat Asiatic, small noses, small mouths, small chins, thin lips, very clear, pale skin, but no signs of facial hair. Their hands, although slender, are human-like. Their toes are small and their feet flat. The story gets weirder. Their skin appears perfectly white but shows no sign of keratin granules, which play an important role in providing natural moisturization for the skin, in addition to UV protection and water retention. Startlingly, the biologist discovered that their lymphatic system were dominant and practically replaced the blood system, providing a high degree of protection from any disease. They were not human, at least as we know it. That's at least how the story goes. There are 2 accounts of these alleged recovered bodies within Wright-Patterson, which inform this story. The first was from William Brophy, whose father claimed to have seen the bodies when serving as a lieutenant colonel in the United States Air Force. Brophy claimed that his father told him the story among those of other UAP encounters while serving in the USAF. The second account is from UAP researcher Leonard Stringfield, who told the story of the French biologist in his 1982 2022 book named UFO Crash Retrievals, Amassing the Evidence, Status Report 3. U.S. officials allegedly confirmed to the French biologist that the bodies were not human and were of extraterrestrial origin. After much hesitancy and many years, the biologist decided to tell his story, and his account was picked up by Stringfield. On June 7th, the night I'm filming this video, an absolutely fascinating article published titled, U.S. has 12 or more alien spacecraft, say military and intelligence contractors, by Michael Schellenberger. Here's an excerpt. Oh, and before I give you the excerpt, please bear in mind that this publication on Substack is called Public. So whenever I say public in the following excerpts, it's referencing the publication. And now, multiple sources close to the matter have come forward to tell public that Grush's core claims are accurate. The individuals are all either high-ranking intelligence officials, former intelligence officials, or individuals who we could verify were involved in U.S. government UAP efforts for 3 or more decades each. 2 of them have testified, including as recently as last year, to both AARO and Congress. So these individuals being cited are corroborating what UFO whistleblower Dave Grush has stated. The article continues. The individuals said they had seen or been presented with credible and verifiable evidence that the U.S. government and U.S. military contractors possess at least 12 or more alien spacecraft, some of which they shared with AARO, which AARO has refused to provide to Congress. The reason AARO has not discovered any verifiable information, quote unquote, they said, is because it does have the authority to verify it and may not want to verify it. Further into the article, some of the same sources who shared information with Grush, as well as others, spoke to public about retrieved spacecraft that they say is in the possession of the U.S. government. Quote, I know of at least 12 to 15 craft, said one person, who said they shared the information with AARO and Congress. Quote, every 5 years we get 1 or 2 recovered for one reason or another, from either a landing or that we catch or they just crash. A different contractor said, quote, there were at least 4 morphologies, different structures. 6 were in good shape, 6 were not in good shape. There were cases where the craft landed and the occupants left the craft unoccupied. There have been high-level people, including generals, who have placed their hand on the craft, and I would have no reason to disbelieve them, unquote. One source described having seen 3 kinds of craft, including one shaped like a triangle and another that, quote, looked like a chopped up helicopter with the front bubble of a Huey helicopter with the plastic windows, or more like a deep sea submarine with a thick piece of glass bubble shaped. And where the tail rudder should have been, it was a black egg-shaped pancake, and instead of landing gear, it had upside-down ram's horns that went from the top to the bottom and rested on the ends of the horns, unquote. If there's any truth to retrieval of non-human craft, then at this point, I think it's unlikely this is going away. This narrative will not go away if there's truth to it. And that debrief article that published on June 5th will be considered a far more historically impactful than even the December 16th, 2017 New York Times article. Now, it sounds incredibly outlandish, this topic, but if some UFOs truly do stem from non-human intelligence, then crashes and landings that haven't been subsequently abandoned are not even remotely implausible. But that's the thing, isn't it? If we eventually get verification from Congress and the U.S. government as a whole that non-human craft have been retrieved, then I think we'll have no choice but to accept that much of UFO literature going back many decades is not only plausible, but likely factual. That's the new world we may be entering into, Whether we can handle it or not is irrelevant. The truth will set us free.
To get back to the knowledge of the general Italian public about UAP, there are some very high-profile cases, and that's an understatement, from within Italy. So let me just kick in the barn doors like a cowboy and address the elephant in the room. And this is what all my viewers, the audience, has been waiting for, and that is, the Mussolini UAP and the telegram, or telegrams, I should say, that were donated to Mr. Pinotti, because he is the one who got hold of them. And to do a short introduction, those have been analyzed and they were found to be authentic.
Yes.
Now, we're talking about a 1933 UFO recovery in Italy. UFO recovery in Italy, I think it was. Now, I've asked you before, was it a crashed vehicle or was it something that was dug up, like an archaeological finding?
Well, I can tell you that, according to my knowledge, it was not dug up. Repeat, not. It was something that landed and or crash landed. In any case, it landed. It was not a retrieval. That was sure. And if I can show the part of the documents that we have nowadays, can I share the image, Max? Can I go?
Yes, sir, for sure. We're waiting for it.
Okay. Share screen, finestra. Okay. There we are. So you should be seeing this. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see it.
So this is a telegram. This telegram was sent by the news agency. The Stefani was the name, news agency, which was the only official news agency of the time. I mean, there were no others. So they were the guardian of the truth, so to speak. So this is a telegram which is called, classified riservatissimo, which means confidential, and it has the highest priority, the highest. I don't know if you see my mouse pointer moving. Do you see it? Okay, yes. Good. Yeah. So I am indicating here the precedenza lampo means the highest priority of all. It's signed by the general director of special affairs of this agency, and it's dated June 13th of 1933 at 16 hours. So the text, which I have translated below, it says, by superior order, it is disposed to treat the news diffused with Stefani's dispatch number 6631C of today as follows. Aircraft above recognized as Meteor, repeats Meteor, by the Brera Astronomical Observatory, which is was the most important observatory at the time, give minimum graphic relevance to the news. No need, repeat, no need to correct, minimize, immediate confirmation of receipt required, signed by the Director of Special Affairs. So this is was sent at 16 hours and refers to another telegram of the same day, which unfortunately is not available. It's not available. So first of all, we have this telegram, and this is the cover-up. We are seeing the cover-up at work. The aircraft, yes, it's not an aircraft, is a Meteor.
Right.
By the main astronomical observatory of Italy. This was at 16 hours.
Yeah, so to add a little
Then
bit of context,
mhm,
people, you have to imagine this is in the heyday of former fascist dictator Benito Mussolini.
it was
Um,
yes, it was the 11th year of the Mussolini regime. So,
right.
yes, 11th.
Okay. So continue, sir. Sorry.
Mhm. So the text of this, which has the same classification, the same priority, and sent to all, tutti means all the offices. So the text
Tutti
is of
frutti.
tutti, exactly, of personal order of the Duce, that is Mussolini. So it was Mussolini in person who ordered this. It is disposed immediate, repeat, immediate arrest of diffusion of the news related to aircraft of unknown nature and origin, aircraft of unknown nature and origin, of
Okay.
which in this dispatch of Stephanie, date today 7:30, the one that we do not have. Immediate recasting of any leads from the newspaper bearing said news is ordered. So eliminate any trace of this. The
Wow.
maximum penalties for transgressors are foreseen up to referring to the Supreme Court for state security. Immediate confirmation of receipt is required. So you see, this is Mussolini here personally disposes the immediate arrest of the diffusion of this news.
Yeah.
Then we have another one. Where is it? This one is not dated. It has the same classification, same priority. This one seems a bit like a draft, maybe. In any
Mhm.
case, it says by personal order of the Duce, absolute silence is order on presumed landing on national soil of unknown aircraft. Stop. Version to publish, diffused with today's dispatch by Stephanie, is confirmed. That is, it's a meteor. Same version also for staff and journalists. Maximum penalties for transgressor, blah, blah, blah. Immediate confirmation of receipt is requested. So we see that we have at least 4 telegrams on this matter, on this event, on that
Wow.
day. So, and we see that Mussolini personally ordered the arrest of the diffusion of the news. So, it's something which was really considered very important.
Now again,
Then, mhm,
now again, for the viewers, these documents are verified, authentic.
mhm.
Just to me, be clear about that. Please
Yes,
continue, sir.
yes, Roberto Pinotti, who is, I already spoke about him. He received not all, but most of these documents. He were received by him by an anonymous sender. So we do not know who is the person who sent these documents. But in any
Are you
case,
sure? Are
yes,
you sure you
yes.
don't know who it is?
I don't know. I asked Roberto many times if he knew, but he said no. We can have some hint, but in any case, was someone acquainted with someone very top level, because we have, for instance, you see this other document,
Mhm.
which is logically related to the three telegrams that we have seen before. By the way, if you see this symbol, this
Yes.
is the letterhead of the Senate of Italy.
Right.
Senato del Regno means Senate of the Reign of Italy, because it was a reign in 1933. So this is it means a personal, very confidential note. First, inform the prefetto, the representative of the government, or local representative of the government. Second, arrange for the immediate retrieval of the aircraft. Third, stop and arrest all the witnesses and give orders to the local section. The local section of the OVRA is the like the Italian Gestapo, so to speak, the secret police of state, and mhm. And this, this was the disposition to alert the local section of the OVRA, which concerns which is in charge of the RS-33 relation. We'll see what this RS-33 means.
Yes,
then,
I'm curious.
Well, I can tell you for sure now. It's the equivalent, the Italian equivalent of the Majestic 12. It's called.
Wow. Well, no, sorry, that just blew my mind. I didn't know there was
exactly
an Italian task force at the time, which is
yes. Yes, this is called RS-33, which stands for Ricerche Speciali, Special Researches, 33 because of the year when it was created. And it was, they say that it was, the president was Guglielmo Marconi. And it had a good number of high-level scientists working in this. So very exactly like the Majestic 12.
Wow.
So we go on, fourth point, address every report with the highest secrecy, classified at the highest possible level and top priority over all the other communications. So address every report to the Central Meteorological office at the La Sapienza University of Rome, which is was the most important university in Italy, / Gabinetto RS-33. That is the one I told you before, the Italian Majestic 12. Right, then fifth, stop the diffusion of every news, specifically on the press. So stop without any just stop the diffusion of any news concerning this matter. Six, for this, in order to implement what is disposed in point 5, it is necessary to publish every now and then very short article where the phenomenon is reported and described as an astronomic event, a meteor, shooting star, or things like that.
Right, a natural phenomenon.
Yes, it's interesting that it's specified very clearly. It's necessary to publish every now and then very short articles where the phenomenon is described as meteor, shooting stars, and so on. Then seventh, the transmission of the reports to the Italian Air Force must be authorized by the authorities of RS-33, which their decisions are inappellable in the sense that cannot be discussed in any case. So six, no other scientific body must be informed of these reports, included the University of the Vatican. Then 9, that's an accounting disposition. Then all the expenses have to be now I don't know exactly the English term for that, but in any case, this is just an accounting procedure for any expenses that which are needed for these for the studies and so on. Then it's written here below. Yes, budget. Thanks, Max. Below here is written: do not protocol. never ever protocol this document. So this document in these 2 pages had to remain totally anonymous and not to be subject to protocol of any kind. So I remember this is the paper, the letterhead of the Senate of Italy, of the reign of Italy. So this is something that was sent. I mean, these 2 pages were sent along with the 3 telegrams that we have seen here.
Yeah.
So what happened? There is one thing which should be remembered. If they say that if they speak of aircraft or aircraft of unknown nature and origin, they really know what they mean, because at that time the Air Force was kept in very high regard personally by Mussolini. So he was very proud of his Air Force, and so if they say aircraft of unknown nature and origin, this is really what it was, something that could not have been identified, because they knew very well all the other aircraft built by the competitors.
Yeah, so let me give a little bit of context to the viewers.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, the Italian Air Force was actually very advanced.
Mm-hmm.
People think because the Italian army didn't really perform in combat, and that wasn't because of the state of the army or their technology. It was because of bad leadership, actually. But they had a very, very state-of-the-art army at the time. So these professionals were able to, separate UAP from known aircrafts.
They really knew what they were talking about, to tell it properly. And the Air Force was really, the Italian Air Force at the time was one of the most advanced in the world. And the problem, you know what, Max, the real problem was not that much in leadership, but in the underlying industrial capacity.
Right.
That was the problem. Italy made very nice, very fine aircraft during the World War II, but did not have the industrial, proper industrial background capacity to build in great numbers. In any case, and by the way, this image shows the place, the location of the crash, of the landing. It's not far from Milan and not far from Varese, that you see here. So this is the general area where this aircraft would have landed or crashed landing. We don't know for sure.
Now, sir, if I can interrupt for one more time. I've heard the vehicle was a silver disc, and that is that true, or is that something that is ever been?
I cannot say. Honestly speaking, I cannot say. I mean, I heard many stories on this, but I prefer to remain, I mean, with my feet on on the ground, as we say in Italy. I mean, I heard many stories, but I don't know really if it was what kind of shape it had.
Is there any account in the telegrams?
No,
in the telegram
no. I'm showing this image because this is that was a hangar, or one or more hangar, which were the property of the Society CI Marchetti, which was one of the top producer of aircraft at that time. And they said that this vehicle or what remained of this vehicle was concert was stored here in this facility.
Now, are we
In a
talking
hangar.
about like the Italian Area 51 or S4?
Well, you know what? 51 or X4 are specifically designated localities for this kind of activities. This
Mhm.
was a facility where that was in the vicinity of the landing site that they used, which was on hand to store these debris or this craft, whatever it was. So, I mean, no,
Yeah.
I would not call it the Italian Area 51. It might have become, I mean, after, but it was not meant for this. In any case, it's interesting to see that during the war, this was not bombed. I mean, this facility was not bombed by another facility, but there was another facility a few kilometers from there, which was bombed 8 or 9 times, sort of. So, I mean,
This
is
was
it a
spared, huh?
coincidence? Who knows why? I mean, I don't know. I cannot say, but this is what it happened. This was spared. It was not bombed, while other local facilities nearby were heavily bombed, like practically every facility of this kind in Italy at the end of the
Yeah.
war.
So I have another question. um, Mr. Mussolini, he was very aware of this unknown craft crashed within the country, and I think we talked about this. He was worried it was a secret German technology, and there was something else going on surrounding that craft. Would you please
hmm
tell us?
Yes, that's an interesting development that became known to us, at least in Italy, 10 years ago or 11 years ago. No, I think it's 11 years ago right now, when at one of the symposia in San Marino in 2010, it was, we had this intervention by this gentleman named William Brophy. This
Yeah.
gentleman from the US said that his father was an officer in the US Air Force, and that when he was in his duty had the possibility, it was shown the bodies kept under formalin of 2 aliens, of the classical Nordic aliens, so to speak. Bodies a bit damaged, but
Yeah.
easily recognizable. I mean, and they were the classic kind of Nordic aliens,
Yeah.
and it
So
was.
so
Mhm.
so yeah. So there could be an easy mix up because they could be just a bunch of Germans.
Yes, exactly. And this is interesting. I mean, because this gentleman, William Brophy, said that his father was also was told that these 2 bodies were confiscated in Italy, in northern Italy, at the end of the war
By
by
the
the U.S.
Americans.
Army, by the
Mm.
U.S. Army, which of course brought them to the U.S. So there are speculations, indeed, that Mussolini could have been induced to ally with Germany because he could have thought that these 2 aliens were indeed Germans, and
Yeah.
that aircraft was that landed or crash landed in northern Italy was actually a Wunderwaffen, one of those
Secret. Yeah.
special weapons that the Germans were secretly developing, and that were fabled or already at the time. I mean, not just today. So, I mean, well, it's difficult to say if this is really true.
Yeah. So you send
But
me
I mean, mhm,
the footage of Mr. Brophy
mhm,
telling his father's story. but then again, it's very anecdotal, and
Exactly.
but the
You
problem
see, Max,
problem here,
sorry to interrupt you. No, you
yeah,
see,
sure.
the problem is that apart from these documents, these telegrams, and a few others that exist, there are not so many tangible evidence on this. There's a lot of voices, rumors, and so on. But I mean, this is the problem. Also, the existence of this RS-33 cabinet was really uncertain because I mean, the scholars who tried to did some research on this. Well, I have to say that the subject of the hypothetical existence of this RS-33 cabinet, RS-33, well, it was not seriously researched by scholars. So, I mean, I think it would be really would be necessary that some serious scholars do serious research, dig in deeply into the state archives of Italy of that time to see if, because I mean, I know that someone did some researches, but not specifically spot on. Someone found some traces of RS-33, but searching for other things, you see. So it was not their original objective of research. So
Now,
I mean, it's necessary to have a spot on, a specific research on this RS-33 at that time, starting from June 33.